Today is all about paint and why we like it so much. Today I'm going to tackle a little repair job on the paintwork of Alfie. That is this little scrape along the edge of there. Looks like it's caught a wall or something. Paint. Paint! Green bucket. 3 days ago I took apart a Rover 45 door handle so it could be resprayed for Project Alfie. And here is the result. Looks good enough, but the only trouble is the moment you touch it, it causes a scratch. And I don't mean touching it with a screwdriver or a wire brush or something like that. I mean just touching it with a clean finger or a cloth, you get the tiniest little micro scratch. So the question is, can you wash your car without scratching your paint? And the simple answer is no. Joining me today though is my friend Peter, and he doesn't realise this, but I'm going to be asking him some questions about this particular subject because he's quite good with paint. But in the meantime I'm going to see if I can tackle this bit of a scuff there. Yes, I am. I'm not going to just open up a rattle can and spray it on there. No, I'm going to try and do a job where you can't quite tell that a repair's been done unless you know a repair's been done. One little tip I've taught myself though is a lesson learned from WD-40. You spray WD-40 on some hazy marks and it disappears, and that's quite simply because it just fills in all the gaps. And that made me realise there's two kinds of scratches. There's one that's just on the lacquer, and then there's one that goes through the lacquer and into the paint, and you can tell the difference whether that scratch disappears or not when it's wet. If it's wet, it's just the lacquer, and that means you can repair it a bit easier, or you can buff it out. Otherwise you need paint. I've tried this method before where you simply spray a bit of paint into the lid, use a pin or something and just go into the scratches in a very carefully considered manner. Now it worked, but will it work with this one? The fact is, if it doesn't work, then it's not going to make it any worse by doing it that way. From 6 feet away I can see this scratch very clearly, and now from about 20 feet away, maybe even more, I can still see it. You can't see it, but I can see it with my eyes. I do need reading glasses, but I can see things very well when they're quite a long way off. I've got eagle eyes, I reckon. So my first step was to clean the patch with some panel wipe to make sure there's no grease left on there, or wax, or breadcrumbs. And now, within a couple of minutes, scratch is gone. Gone at 20 feet, gone at 15 feet, gone at 10 feet, gone at 6 feet, starting to show about 5, and then you can just about see the marks there now. Yeah, you can see them quite well if you've got good eyes. As an improvement job to make it look better, that's worked. As a professional repair, no, obviously not. But what I'm going to do next is wait for that paint to dry, really harden, like it does after a few days, and then I can just gently rub it back and then smooth it out, and then hopefully it will completely disappear. The paint I've used is a 2-pack paint rather than a base coat and then lacquer, because of exactly that, because it means you can just stick it on and then rub it back. The lacquer's in there. That's what makes sense for that kind of repair. That's what I think anyway. Now, I love this car, and I love the colour, and I love it to look nice. I mean, I love Rovers, but I also like cheese, beer. But the one problem with a colour like this is how easily it does show its imperfections, especially in direct sunlight. So those tiny micro scratches that you see when you're really looking carefully suddenly jump up at you, and even more so when it's clean. One thing that's always bothered me are the scratches you get on the inside of the door handle, like that there. with people's fingernails catching them, or rings, or whatever it is they've got on their fingers. Everywhere I look on this car, I can see tiny scratches, swirl marks, little imperfections. But the question is, am I going too far? Am I taking all this too seriously? Does it really matter? I mean, it doesn't actually matter at all, obviously. But if you're going to do a repair with a pin on a scratch and say, well, that's not doing it properly, but you can't see that from 10 foot away, how can you say that the swirl marks and things like that you can see from 20 feet away don't matter? I'll tell you something else that really bugs me as well, and that is glass with any kind of marks on. You want to be able to see straight through glass, but of course the very nature of glass means that anything that's on there will be seen as well. If I climb into my car on a misty morning or a damp morning or something like that, where it's basically damp on the windscreen, I don't stick my hand on it and smear loads of man grease over it. No, I wait until it demists properly. But other people, especially small people, like to draw on the condensation. Nothing nicer than clean glass, except for possibly a clean glass with beer in it. The other problem with having a nice clean car is you've got different materials. It's not just paint, it's plastics as well, glass, and those things require different cleaning products, and sometimes they don't really work together. Waxing and polishing leaves marks on the plastics, like white, almost chalky marks that don't really wash off very well. And then the plastic conditioner type stuff leaves oil on the paint, and then dirt sticks to that, so a couple of days later the car looks terrible again. Since the last polishing session I had with this car, it's had a few white marks crop up, and they always end up looking worse a couple of days later as well. So I'm going to get rid of those now. Well, that was a wonderful chat I had with my friend Peter. Peter with the maestro. Peter with Project Dan. That's the one. Yes. Now, unfortunately, I was going to chat to him about paint and stuff like that for this video, but I forgot to. I was too busy chatting away, and so was he. That's how it goes. I must say though, you know what he did? Peter did the honourable thing of bringing me some beer, well, of which I shall consume later on. I thought I would take a drive out into Manchester at night time, hopefully to get some shots of Alfie, city lights and the urban decay with a look of Alfie and its aspirational middle class feel to it. But I discovered two things. One is that trying to find somewhere to stop that's suitable is difficult, and the other is that driving around Manchester is just plain horrible.
Dogger, south or southeast, becoming cyclonic, 6 to 4, maybe 7 later. Moderate, occasionally rough later, rain later. Good. Fisher, east veering south or southeast, 4 to 6, occasionally rain. Slight or moderate later, showers later, rough, good. German bright. Help me, Toby!
Hello, and welcome to the second part of the Alfie restoration job. The car's over there. Stop arguing, you lot. I'm not doing anything under the bonnet today. I'm just opening it. But there's a good reason for that, because now I'm going to close it again. This is about paintwork, isn't it? Not stuff under the bonnet so much. And I've just removed the owl. The owl of squirty liquid stuff. Although the thumbnail on the previous video made this bonnet look super duper, it really isn't. And if you can see there's lots of swirly marks. So the only way to do this job properly is to remove the owls from their holes. And it is an easy job. It's just a matter of squeezing these two bits there and pulling the pipe off. Ba -ba 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 -ba. Ba -ba 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 -ba. There you can see just how much cruddy stuff is underneath the owl, and how it would be best just to have these off to actually do this polishing job. Also, it means having to work around the owls rather than just going straight across, and well, that's not exactly good, is it? No. And you're always at risk of bunging the owl's eyes up. Ideally, it would be good to take the grill off as well, because you know, we don't want the constant rubbing of the spinner thing on there, the orbital buffer. But whether these will come off without breaking a nut, I don't know. Hello, let's use some of this then. If these don't just undo without any hassle, I will stop trying to undo them. If I put Alfie up for sale and left the grill off like that, I reckon it'd attract a very different kind of potential customer. Brain salad surgery. Yeah, brain salad surgery by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's what that looks like. The battery's gone on it. When I say gone, I mean it's lost all its power. So I'm going to have to charge it and do something else for a while. Well, that's my visitors gone. I can crack on with putting the stuff back together on Alfie. But not before I have a single piece of Emmental. I like Emmental. Time for roll the grill face to go back on. It is surprisingly easy really to put it back on. It's the opposite of lefty-loosey. You go back to doing righty-tighty with these things. So take those, stick them on there. So the question is the bonnet any better? A bit. Another visitor. Hanky's back. Looks much nicer than what it was when I had it. Great to see Project Tank being a proper project and being a proper car, and the mustard missile as well. Not sure you could really call that 1300 a missile, but it's a quaint name. And that MX-5, or the Unos, Mazda Unos, will be coming to me for a test drive as well soon to see what that's like. All lots of lovely summery things to enjoy, and I'm going to enjoy my evening. I'll try to. Looks like a high-speed passenger plane pursuit.